All right, it's March 5th, 2023. I haven't posted anything about my bait tank in a while. And I know you're looking at it now and it's like, that's a mess. Well, it's because it's been going all season. Um, and it's been going pretty good. I've got one or two more trips left in the season, ice fishing. I've got bait in here that I jigged from up north and some from I trapped locally. But basically, this tank has been working great this year. And last year was really my first year using it. And I noticed halfway through the season, I started losing a lot of fish. They were dying on me. And I was doing my best to keep them going, changing some water and stuff. But I started losing fish. And I think once they get a disease in them, they all start to die. This year, I've had a ton of success. I actually started trapping my bait like the end of November, right around or just after Thanksgiving. And I had quite a few in here at one point, mostly large golden shiners. And I'm happy to say I have not lost one fish this year. They're all lived, and what's left in there now, which is probably less than 20 that I'm going to use, they're all alive. So if you're looking, I know a lot of people ask, hey, how do I keep my bait alive? Well, and hey, do you feed the bait? And I didn't really know the answers. There's mixed answers to this stuff. So what I did, and maybe it'll work for others, maybe it won't. But what I did was the first thing I think made a huge difference was on Amazon, I ordered the Better Bait, which a lot of bait stores use to help keep their minnows alive. And I gotta say, just use the dosages. I think it's like tablespoon per 75 gallons. And I just kind of like eyeball it. And anytime I did anything with the water, I would add some more of the Better Bait. It turns the water a little blue, but who cares? It's not like an aquarium. It's just your bait tank. That, I think, helped a lot. Second thing I did was every week I would do at least a quarter water change in the tank. And I think that helped a lot too. Question around feeding them. A lot of people say don't feed them and the water's cold. So I didn't really feed them a lot. But what I did the day before, I would change the water because the food in the water always causes like high ammonia and can cause problems with the fish. And I just have like a mixture of like flake food and some granule food. And this is a container I put them in. It's not what it came in. And I'll just sprinkle a little in there the day before I change the water. I don't know if they're eating them or not when they sink down low, because anytime I open up the tank, they go and hide. But it didn't do any damage. And then, on the other hand, I don't know if they're eating or not. But they're alive. So, and I don't even think you could see them in there, because they're all hiding in the corner right now because I opened the tank and they all go in the back corner where the filter is. So it looks like the tank is empty, but it's really not. There's still fish in there. They just don't like to be on camera. The other piece to this is I have a pretty decent size aerator going. You can see it right there. It's got double lines coming out of it. So I've got 2 decent sized aerator stones, keep the water going. But I think the filter alone really keeps the water moving too. And I went over this filter in a previous video. This filter, it's a Home Depot bucket, and in the bottom of the bucket, that line goes all the way to the bottom of the bucket, and then it's attached to 2 other pieces of PVC that go in opposite directions, and I've actually got a screen cover on it so nothing clogs them, and that shoots the water in 2 different directions. It actually goes up through some scrubbing pads that I have in there, some small little scrubby things that I bought. I actually threw in, a couple of cartridges of like just regular fish tank filters. I have an old balled up sock in there that's full of carbon. And that's about it. And that's been keeping the tank going all year. I haven't really done anything with the filter other than change those cartridges that I have on the top. And the water comes out, goes through that pipe there, and comes out the bottom. You can't really see it now, but it comes out the bottom, and it's definitely, it's 500 gallons an hour, so it's shooting some water in there. When I take the water out for a change, you could really see the water shooting. So I think that helps a lot. The other thing is, you always worry about something like covering that top. So in the back, you can see another little hole. There's an overflow. That line goes down into the tank. It's never done that, never overflowed. I also have a light in there. It's kind of hanging in the water right now. I kind of installed that. I had an old light on the side. It stopped working, so I bought a new light. It's kind of hanging there right now because I installed it mid-season, so I didn't have a chance to really mount it in there. I'll mount that once this season is done and I empty out the tank. Also, I noticed last year when it was really cold, like below zero, the water on the top of this bucket would freeze up a little bit. So I got a little worried. Even around the edges of the bucket, the water kind of froze. But I never had any frozen ice problems. So I just got some regular insulation this year, and I wrapped the bucket. We did have, it's not been a cold winter here, but we did have a couple of like really cold nights that was, about 10 below. And when I came out the next morning, there was no ice at all. On those cold nights, I take this cover, which you can see is double insulated and insulated around the edges. Also, double insulated there too. So I take this cover, put it all the way on, and basically that's it. And it keeps everything good. When it's not really cold, which has been most of the time, I usually put the cover like this because just, letting some natural air in there. And, I would say, you see that opening there, I would not recommend leaving it wide open like that. Put a screen cover or something on. What I did, and this is funny, but I just found two tennis rackets that I had and just covered it with the tennis rackets because I've had minnows jump out of the tank before. If you watch some of my other videos, you can see the size shiners that I trapping. They're pretty large. Also, I just, that you see a bunch of like insulation or foam behind the tank. I just put that behind the tank along the wall. That's just from like boxes and stuff that I got. But, it protects the backside of the tank a little bit from the cold that's on the outside. That's a metal wall on the shed. So I think that's really it. But just, those are my tips. Those are, and I did watch a lot of other videos, and people have mixed things on, what they do, how they manage their tank. The things that I did, maybe they'll work for someone, maybe they won't. But it seems to work for me, and if it helps anyone else out in any way, then that would be great. But I love having my own bait tank, and it makes it so much easier when I'm going on trips, or I don't have to go find bait at a bait store or stop anywhere. I just load them up in my. I usually use. I tend to use a cooler like this. It's got wheels on it too if there's no snow on the ice. But I drill 2 holes for my line, and I usually mount my aerator here. I have one of those rechargeable, a couple of them aerators. They work really well. I just put it on the pulsing so the air comes on every 10 seconds, and it'll last for like 12 hours. So this is a 16 quart, so it's plenty of room for the minnows. I have a smaller one too, a 12 quart, but I've never had. I put like over 20 like really decent size minnows, large golden shiners in there, and they do pretty well. So I think that's it. If you have any other questions, just put them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. But The bait tank is working pretty well. Like I said, it's March 5th now. I've had bait in there since the end of November. It's still alive. And I'll be shutting this tank down soon. I've got one or two more trips up north to Maine. And then I'll be shutting the tank down for the year. That'll be a sad day. And then I'll start it back up in the fall.